Qin Tian, if you don't take a stand now, they're going to collapse. Qin Tian, can you really get ultramarine? I don't think I've ever boasted about something I couldn't do. Don't get excited yet, there are still a few steps to complete. Making ultramarine, in general, involves 3 steps. The first step is to dry kaolin, sodium carbonate, sublimed sulfur, silica and rosin. Ramani didn't get much of these materials, just a couple of pounds each. Plus, there's an oven for baking bread right here on the estate. This step took just 2 hours to complete. The second step is to grind and mix these substances, then slowly heat the powdered mixture to 750°C over 8 hours, and maintain this constant temperature for another 8 hours. The second step can't be completed until tomorrow. After instructing the craftsmen with all the necessary precautions, Qin Tian and the others went to the city walls to arrange tonight's defenses. Manga 2. I hope there won't be another battle tonight. Manget Kate, shut up. Don't jinx it. I think, after experiencing the power of nitroglycerin, nobody can adjust their mindset that quickly. Manga, we shouldn't worry about a large-scale attack for a while, but we must still be vigilant. Clinton, how much longer until we arrive? Don't tell me you don't even know where your own army is stationed. What in the world are you screaming for? Hands. There are hands at your feet. FK, hurry and kick that damn thing away. Be careful, there are more over there. Stop, everyone, just stop panicking. Panicking CA. What is all this ruckus? Everyone, halt. Sir. It's up ahead. Light all the torches. Manga Toon, look at this huge crater. Damn, was there an explosion at the ammo depot? Manga Toon, they died in such an inglorious way. Manga Toon, what kind of battle was this? It's too gruesome. I personally arranged this defensive line. The ammo depot definitely wasn't located here. Mangato. Besides, even if the ammo depot exploded, it wouldn't create so many huge craters. Especially not craters that follow along the defensive line like this. Could it be? These are the result of Mozo City's counterattack. What are your plans now? Angatun. Retreat. We've marched day and night to get here, not even fighting a single battle, and now we're just retreating. If you want to die, I won't stop you, but before you do that, hopefully, someone can go back and tell your lord that since the arranged matters couldn't be carried out, the previously agreed contents are naturally null and void. Of course, I won't let you run around for nothing. With the current military strength, it's not enough to take down Mozo City. We must inform Lord Shadok of this situation as soon as possible. Atun, just like the second step, the third step also requires burning, but this time, you need to open the container with the mixed powder, and the burning temperature must be lowered to 500°C. 4 hours later. Manga Toon. Alchemy, Qin Tian. This is definitely alchemy. Manga Toon, it's different from the real ultramarine. It's more like turning stone into silver. There's a slight difference. Angat, the ultramarine produced by this method has a certain color difference from the real ultramarine, but this gap is not too noticeable. Only those sensitive to colors would be able to perceive the difference between the two. But with such a large quantity, Ramini will definitely accept it. Manga Toon, even when I was invited by the church to paint in the cathedral, I have never seen such an amount of ultramarine. 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 So much ultramarine. To think there could be so much ultramarine. Manga Toon, this must be what it feels like to hit the super jack. In the sacred West, ultramarine is the most expensive pigment and is also the exclusive pigment of the Holy Madonna Maria, immensely sacred. Many master painters have had to abandon their hard-won artworks because they could not acquire enough ultramarine. I remember Master Reinhardt sold all his properties in an effort to gather enough ultramarine pigment to complete his final masterpiece. Yet even so, before his departure, he was unable to finish that painting. It seems Master Ramani also has a painting in his heart that he is obsessed with completing. Manga Toon. No, that's not right. I have to try these pigments. This is yours to do with as you please. We have no right to question your decision. Come on. Let's let Master Ramani try it. Manga Toon Manga 2. Manga Toon. The color is wrong. So, do you want it? Manga Toon, sorry, I'm not a painter and I don't have your sensitivity to color. 2. This looks like ultramarine. This is not ultramarine, although the color is very close. My eyes cannot be mistaken. That's a shame, as this is the only ultramarine we have. Would you still like it? Of course, we can offer you something else if you wish. This paint is not ultramarine. Do you still want it? I want ultramarine. If we were to double the amount, would you be interested then? Manga Toon. Double the offer, or terminate the deal, your choice. Well then, we won't send Yuna off further. Be careful on the road. Come by if you are free. Manga Toon. Awesome, it can indeed be used as ultramarine. This will definitely be a bestseller. This recipe Toon belongs to Chin Tian. This matter is finally taken care of. I know that, but the birth of this alchemy, the stone to silver technique, is quite exciting, isn't it? Manga Toon perhaps, but it might not be quite stone to silver. It's about supply and demand. Right, only painters would buy ultramarine. Moreover, only painters of certain status and wealth would make a purchase. This further narrows down the potential customer base. The overall market size isn't huge, which naturally caps the potential for synthetic ultramarine. But this cap is substantial enough to make a fortune in a year. The guild should still be operating normally, right? We need to sell this ultramarine as soon as possible, Manga Toon. We urgently need a group of craftsmen and laborers. Laborers. Are you thinking of recruiting soldiers to boost Mozo City's strength? But with our current situation, I'm afraid no one would want to enlist. Even if we manage to recruit some, the numbers won't be too high. No, what I want to recruit are not soldiers, but craftsmen, like blacksmiths and carpenters. Plus, if we could find a reliable workshop, that would work too. Is it for making something? Manget, it's more like an upgrade, upgrading our weapons. Just as Oshbear said, Mozo City is now isolated with no support. Anyone looking at the situation would think it's doomed, and certainly no one would be foolish enough to answer the call and come here to die. So, since we can't increase the quantity of our fighting power, we must enhance its quality. One way to do this is by improving the power of our weapons. Manga Toon, even though Mozo City now has nitroglycerin, a major killer, the lack of effective throwing tools limits it to melee combat, greatly reducing its deterrence. So there is an urgent need for specialized trebuchets to use in conjunction with nitroglycerin, maximizing its power. Apart from that, firearms can be upgraded to revolvers with a cylinder, which greatly reduces the firing interval. In addition, the way of reloading can be changed from a muzzle loading system to a cartridge system. With double time reduction, Mozo City's soldiers, armed with revolvers, can completely fight off multiple enemies, effectively multiplying our defenses. This is my current plan, preparing for all eventualities. But as we feared before, right now we're completely reactive, utterly unaware of when the hidden enemy will strike again. Toon. Therefore, our defense works might still be incomplete when we are attacked by the enemy, whose numbers will certainly be greater than before. Even though our armaments have greatly improved, it is uncertain whether we can withstand them. Manga Toon, now that the siege has been broken and we have a way out, we are faced with a choice, that is, to evacuate Mozo City. Evacuate Mozo City. Would there be a problem to evacuate temporarily, dragging it out until the royal family sends someone to deal with this? Yes, this form of migration, according to the kingdom's decrees, would be considered as the Lord's unconditional surrender of everything. By then, the residents of Mozo City will become homeless drifters. However, this ultimately requires the residents' consent. If they are willing, I am willing to give up everything. Manga Toon, a lord is called a lord because he has his own people. If there are no more people, The title of Lord is just that, a title. We should first take the residents' opinions and then make a decision. An hour later, Kate convened all the residents to ask for their opinions. The outcome was unanimous amongst all the residents. To stay in Mozo City. For the residents, Mozo City is their foundation for survival, their home, and they cannot just let their homeland fall into the hands of others. They are willing to face this war alongside Kate. With the completion of the opinion gathering, the weapon upgrade plan for Mozo City officially began. With an already Taglianga 2 workforce, it wasn't possible to work on the trebuchet and firearm upgrades at the same time. Faced with a choice between the two, all available manpower was directed towards building trebuchets. Mongatoon meanwhile, Ashbear put out a call for recruits through the merchants' channels, offering high rewards in the hopes of gathering manpower as quickly as possible. In such a tense atmosphere, after a week's time, the craftsmen of Mozo City worked day and night and finally built 10 trebuchets. Mongatoon. The main purpose of these trebuchets is to launch nitroglycerin, which doesn't require much power, so to save time, these trebuchets are a bit smaller than normal ones. But regardless, they have still enhanced the defensive capabilities of Mozo City. Intigas is the second largest city on the front lines, and it is also the main city of Shadok's Dam. One question: why are you still alive to return? Mongatoon. I hope you've brought back some valuable clues. This is your only chance to stay alive. Swish. They have a mysterious weapon. Its power is multiple times that of a bomb. Even a siege cannon can't compare. Is that the reason for your failure? Yes. That weapon is just too powerful. If we could get our hands on it, we could surely fulfill His Majesty's grand vision sooner. Mongatoon. Mongatoon. If it really wasn't a command issue, but rather that Mozo City truly had a powerful weapon that allowed them to successfully counterattack. Wait, the kaleidoscope. Could it be, that thing actually came from there? Kate didn't just obtain the kaleidoscope, but she also got something else. Watch out, Master. Mongatoon whoosh natu. This pattern. You. Mongatoon swish. Your Majesty's letter. Mongatoon. Mongatoon step back, Clinton. He is not an assassin. Go and notify the presidents of the merchant associations to prepare the agreed-upon gold coins within 3 days. Should there be any errors in even this simple task, you know what to do. Yes. But as for Mozo City, let them linger for another month. Mongatoon. Under a hefty bounty, the manufacturing of revolvers has been put on the agenda. And the parts are distributed to different workshops by Ashbear, ensuring Mozo City's advantage in weaponry can be kept secret at least for the short term. What? The front line has been breached. Impossible, the two countries have been fighting for so many years without such an incident ever occurring. Ofina, are you sure you heard it right? Manga.toon. It was the delivery driver who said it, and I have confirmed it many times over. But just like you have heard, the front lines have collapsed. How could this be? Mongatoon. The drivers hadn't been drinking, but honestly, I have my doubts, too. That's why I've sent someone to verify the news, and we should have a response today. Lord, has something happened? Sorry. I forgot you don't understand English. Mongatoon. The tribe won't be affected by this, right? There's no need to worry too much in the short term. The city of Duranba is located in the northeast of the kingdom. Even if the Imperial Army were to march directly, it would take 2 months to reach there. The royal family will surely not stand idly by, perhaps the break in the line is only temporary. Angatun. The structure of the revolver is simple with about 20 parts. It can be assembled quickly, allowing us to put together 10 of them. Each cylinder can hold 9 rounds and, with a fast enough speed, can be emptied within a minute. This absolute firepower is a game-changer against flintlock guns. Will there be a longer version following? So this is a revolver. It looks quite peculiar. If you're talking about rifles, we don't have them. No. But the range of a rifle is much further than a pistol, and it has more advantages on the battlefield. That's enough, just try it and you'll see. 80 meters, that's the maximum effective range of a rifle. Mangato now, watch closely. Bang bang Mongatoon bang. That's amazing. Never mind the accuracy for now, this rate of fire. It completely overturns my impression of firearms. All hits. They all hit. This weapon is enough to multiply a soldier's combat power several times over. Don't be so surprised yet, you've got to try it for yourselves. Although the effective range of the revolver is between 50 to 100 meters, the accuracy is still somewhat lacking. The reason I could hit all the targets is thanks to the hunter's blessing. Talent. Others might not be so certain. Bang Mongatoon bang bang. Oshbear and Ofina hit 4 shots, Gosen and Nick hit 5 shots, Bohama hit 7 shots, Bakuma has the highest hit rate with a total of 8 shots, Kate hit 3 shots. Mongatoon, I knew it. Chin Tian, you really are blessed by the sorcerer. You too are more formidable than I am. With just your personal strength, you're comparable to me who has been blessed. I still prefer using a bow and arrow. You two are better off sticking to bows and arrows. Considering the current revolver, it has the advantages of quick reloading and rapid firing, but this does not completely crush the bow and arrow. In terms of range and armor-piercing ability, the bow and arrow is still superior. For the Bakuma siblings, using bows and arrows has already become a habit. If they were forced to use revolvers, their combat effectiveness might actually decrease. However, for regular soldiers, this is absolutely superb. Unfortunately, the small talk brought by the coachman yesterday is true, just as Chin Tian and the others heard this morning. The front-line defenses have been breached, and the Empire's army has entered through the gap into the sacred West Kingdom. Manga Batun Tun. Moreover, the location of the breach corresponds vertically with Wolfie City. Currently, Duke de Quire is fighting against the Empire's army. The defensive line being breached is just a matter of days. Right now, the royal family hasn't received any news, so the front-line troops can't get effective reinforcements. Therefore, Duke de Quire can only rely on help from a few marquis near his territory, Mangamoon. It will be at least a few more days before the royal family receives the news. In this period, Mangato, I hope that Duke de Quire can repel the Empire's army. Mozo City, although not a frontline city, is also close to the front. If de Quire cannot hold back, then Mozo City will fall under the ironclad hooves of the Empire's cavalry. Relying on others for hope is not a good habit, and with the way war is changing, this may very well be an opportunity for you to grow and become stronger. Opportunity. Mongatoon, I think the frontline battles are undoubtedly more important than the skirmishes between two knights, so much so that there's simply no comparison. To put it bluntly, we could take advantage of this time to annex Dumbledore's domain. Now that Dumbledore is dead, we can easily take over his lands. In doing so, Kate, your power will surge, and even if the worst scenario becomes reality, you will have the means to protect yourself in these chaotic times. This is indeed a good suggestion, but what about the legitimate reason for taking over the fief? We must consider one point, that is, if the royal family drives back the enemy forces and the two countries return to a standoff, will the royal family take any action against Kate knowing that Dumbledore's fief has been annexed? Mongatoon, the chaos is just our assumption. What if the Empire's army is repelled? Under this assumption, we need a legitimate and reasonable method of annexation. This way, we don't have to worry about the royal family finding excuses to trouble Kate after the situation stabilizes either. Viscount Dumbledore sells his lands to Baron Kate, and according to the agreement, Baron Kate takes over the territory. Unexpectedly, Dumbledore goes back on his word and wages war against Baron Kate, but thanks to divine favor, Baron Kate kills Dumbledore and takes over the land according to the pact. With no living witness, this reason can be made up as we please. As for the agreement, I think Dumbledore's seal should be in his residence. Chin Tian, didn't you already have the reasons all figured out before the battle was even over? So, the second question, what about the mastermind behind the scenes? Have you ever wondered why the mastermind has given us such a long breather? Could it be that they are too occupied? According to our previous guess, the mastermind must hold a high title, otherwise, they couldn't possibly provide Dumbledore with so much manpower. Mongatoon, but now the front lines are critical, and there's a shortage of troops. In this situation, the royal house is definitely very sensitive to the movements of the armies, especially the high-ranking nobles. They have enough manpower, and they're bigger targets. It's precisely because of this that they can't easily use the army to deal with us. Of course, it's also possible that the real mastermind is deliberately lulling us into a false sense of security, wanting us to lower our guard. Therefore, we must still hurry with the manufacturing of the revolver. Given the current situation, this is undoubtedly a good opportunity for us to annex Dumbledore's territories. With enough strength, we can better protect your subjects. Mongatoon the next day. Qin Tian and Kate went to Ebford, the city where Dumbledore's residence is located, situated at the very heart of his domain. On the battlefield outside Mozo City, aside from the big pit blasted by nitroglycerin, there were no traces of the battle left on the defensive line. Ebford, outskirts, Rudia village. Gatun. This village is deserted, the houses are in ruins. It's unclear if the people have moved away or if there's some other reason. As we've traveled, we've seen more than one village like this, especially ones close to the main city. It's abnormal. Who would have thought that even Rudia has fallen into ruin? Judging from its dilapidated conditions, it should happen in these 2 years. Mongatoon. Could the villages we passed by earlier also have been abandoned in recent years? Except for the first village we encountered, the others have still been around just a few years ago. Is there any reason? That, only Dumbledore probably knows. No matter what, we still need to go to Ebford first. Time is of the essence. In the evening, Ebford, the main city. 50 copper coins per person. If you want to enter the city, pay up. Mongatoon. They gave the money so readily. Had I known, I would have asked for more. Now that you mention it, doesn't that woman among them look familiar? And the man next to him too. Now that you say it, it kinda does seem like. I can't believe you actually gave them money. Manget will let them hold on to it for a while. Once we've fully taken over Ebford, they will surely pay it back double. Ebford always gives off this lifeless feeling, just like those villages we saw along the road. The personal strength of a lord should not be judged merely by their rank or the size of their domain, but also by their governance ability. That saying couldn't be more correct. Mongatoon. It finally makes sense why Dumbledore, despite being a Viscount, and Baron Kate's strengths are almost the same. Mongatoon. Halt, who are you people? I remember, Captain Colin, we met the year before last. Miss Oshbear, Lord Baron, may I know what business you have here? The Viscount is not present. You might have come here for nothing. Mongatoon. To ask such a question, it's clear this Colin isn't one of Dumbledore's confidants. It's fine. We'll return to our own castle, no need to inform an outsider. Mongatoon. Our own castle. Wait. Excuse me, but what do you mean by that? It's quite literal. Yes, there is indeed a need to discuss this matter with you. A month ago, Dumbledore had sold his estate to us, which is why he has been absent of late. We're here today to spread this news quickly, to avoid any misunderstanding. Sold his estate. That's impossible. Miss Oshbear. If possible, I would like to see the relevant documents. Right, you remind me, I need to gather the residents of Ebford for a public announcement. I will need your help. Also, where is Dumbledore's office? It's been so long. I've forgotten. Could it be that Lord Dumbledore really sold the estate? That's right. His lordship has long had a grudge with Baron Kate, otherwise, how could they dare to just waltz into Ebford so brazenly? This is Lord Viscount's office. Manga, the door. The Viscount's office keys are exclusively his. Hasn't he given them to you? Bang Mangato. This door is not nice to look at. I think it should be replaced. Yes, you're right, Vice President. The style is too ugly. It's time for a nicer one. You can step back for now. I'll call you if there's anything. Dumbledore's office. This position is really suitable for Kate. Colin, do you have any other matters? No, I was wondering if there is anything else your highness needs me to do. You may go now. If I need anything, I will call you. And by the way, it's Viscount, not Baron. Yes, Viscount Kate. Mongatoon, I'm not sure if it was the title of Viscount that led to the acquisition of Dumbledore's territory, or the other way around. But either way, it's a good thing. I hear the Mozo city under Kate's governance is very prosperous. Hopefully, Kate's arrival can bring positive changes to Ebford. Don't let him indulge in any mischief. Natoon, I'll keep an eye on him. It's good that I bluffed Colin. Selling Dumbledore's territory was a total fabrication. We don't have any relevant documents. If he insisted on checking, we probably couldn't even leave. Ongatoon, once we find the seal, we don't have to worry anymore. This seal is as significant as Dumbledore himself. It is extremely important. In the absence of anyone, it naturally wouldn't be left carelessly on the table. You guys can look under the desk, or at those specimens hanging on the wall, and knock on the shelves holding the jewels to see if there is a hidden compartment. The seal. I remember seeing it once in Dumbledore's office. Crack. Open, found it. That was too easy to hide. Oshbear, you found it too expertly. Don't tell me you often do this kind of thing. How could that be? It's also my first time here. If things go as expected, the seal should be in this box. I think. You can try it. Why should it be me? Intuition, is that an answer? I will try then. Crack. Brilliant. Less than half a minute to open it, wait. Did you? It's normal to pick up some household tips, and things like these, once learned, are like swimming, you never forget. More importantly, what's inside the box matters more. Finally found it. Got it. Now this castle, as well as these lands, really belong to us. Worth the trip. Mongatool, for me, just being able to protect my own land is a huge fortune. Everything else is just icing on the cake. What's with this letter? Aren't you curious about the contents of these? They were all in the same drawer as the seal, proving their importance. To Dumbledore, they are almost as crucial as the seal. The signature on this letter. It's Shadok. The content of the letter is simple. Shadok was instructing Dumbledore to gather funds. As for what they are for, it's not written, but there are many more letters like this. Come quick, look at this letter. It says that Dumbledore is planning to make a move on Kate, by the order of Shadok. Marquis Shadok. How could it be Marquis Shadok? Could it be that Shadok's forces are the ones attacking? It should be him. We did consider the possibility of a Marquis backing Dumbledore, and we were prepared for it, but we never imagined it would be Shadok. Manga to Shadok may only be a Marquis in name, but his personal power is on par with a duke's. The gap between a Marquis and a duke is enormous. Stay calm, it's just a duke we're talking about. At most, he has 100,000 troops, and they're still using old flintlocks. Manga, even dukes with 100,000 troops are absolutely forbidden by the royal family. Sometimes, I really wonder if you're a deity who's come down to earth. This must also be how Shadok and Dumbledore communicate. They've marked a special location on the map, which seems to be closer to Mozo City from its position. Should we check it out? Yes, of course we have to go, but now isn't the right time. This location on the map is near the border of Dumbledore's and my territories, and it is also a manor. I don't recall any manor in this place from my memory. According to clues from other letters, that location might not be a manor at all, but the ruins where Dumbledore found the bracelet. That's why Kate and the others don't recall this manor landscape, because it's underground, not on the surface. Under Dumbledore's rule, Ebford was a mess. The city's commercial econ was poor, and the agriculture, fundamental for the residents' survival, was concerning. Most of the citizens were struggling to get by, and in this situation, they also faced high taxes, which made life extremely difficult. Faced with this situation, Kate and Ashbear immediately drafted several documents, among which was a provision to temporarily suspend taxation. Moreover, they began to recruit a large workforce to prepare for the manufacturing of revolvers and the corresponding improvements to the city's infrastructure. Doing this provides work for the residents of Ebford, solving their survival problems. Secondly, it also brings labor to the defense construction of Mozo City. With Kate's supervision, these measures quickly reached the ears of Ebford's residents. Like cold water poured into hot oil, the citizens were stirred up, and soon they realized that the lordship of Ebford had changed hands. Already dissatisfied with Dumbledore but lacking the capability to leave, now comes such a lord to Ebford, the residents are unanimously overjoyed. Manga Toon. However, Ebford was a disaster left by Dumbledore, and it was impossible to clean up in a short time. Kate and Ashbear could only minimize the losses. After spending 3 days and achieving a somewhat stable situation in Ebford, Chin Tian and his companions returned to Mozo City. Although they had only been gone for 4 days, the situation was changing rapidly, and it wasn't feasible to stay away for long. Upon their arrival in Mozo City, Ofina brought very bad news. Wofi City was under siege. Duke de Quire was trapped inside, and the nobles at the front lines had been defeated and were fleeing. I'm not sure how much longer Duke can hold out. If Ebford falls, then we're all in danger. Right now, the defensive line has only been breached in one spot. It's not going to be easy for the Empire's army to push deep into the kingdom's heartland without first securing that breach. Otherwise, they'll be vulnerable from both sides. The armies summoned by the royal family should already be on their way. I hope they arrive in time. I'm just worried that we might also be dispatched to support the front lines. Right now, I just want to finish eating and comfortably lie down in bed. Riding in a carriage is truly more jarring than a car. After a whole day of travel, I really feel quite worn out. Has there been any progress in the production of the revolver these past few days? Atun, during your absence, we found 4 more workshops. Based on the current pace, it'd take about a week from producing parts at these workshops to shipping them here and then assembling them. Each cycle, we can produce 120 revolvers. Now, every soldier in the city is equipped with these weapons. Well, there are the soldiers who originally belonged to the young master. They've been temporarily assembled for the defense of the city and haven't been equipped yet. However, I think they're also a formidable force and should be outfitted as well. So, the workshop is still producing revolvers. This is certainly necessary. Also, the workshop needs to continue searching. We need to acquire at least 2,000 revolvers and the corresponding ammunition as soon as possible. All the combatants in Mozo City tally up to at most 400, but Kate just took over Ebford. With a conservative estimate, she could rally at least 200 soldiers. This means Kate could mobilize at least 500 men. By that count, there aren't enough revolvers at the moment. Certainly, a troop number of 500 soldiers, faced with a Shadok commanding tens of thousands, is still not enough, even with the boost from revolvers. We need at least 2,000 men if we are to stand our ground and confront Shadok. Is there a problem on your end? If you're only asking about the guns, then we should have enough. The cost of a single revolver isn't cheap. For a Viscount, 2,000 revolvers would indeed be damaging, but these 2,000 revolvers represent more than just their intrinsic value. But that doesn't include the soldiers' pay. We can't afford such a large expense, even if we include the recent reward Kate received. There shouldn't be an issue with funding. We can borrow. Can we really do that? I mean, can you really lend us that amount? I think 100,000 gold coins should suffice. For the Daybreak Association, this isn't really a significant amount. 10,000 is enough, 1,000 is enough. With 100,000 gold coins. Rather than 2,000 men, we could just buy Mozo City outright. Suddenly I feel so poor as a Viscount. If it's just 10,000, we shouldn't need to bring in gold from the association headquarters. We can raise it from the nearby stores. Thank you, Miss Yilin. I'm truly grateful. Ofina, I remember you mentioned that the nobles on the front lines are now selling off their assets, right? Yes. These nobles are worried about their domains being destroyed by the conflict, wanting to salvage whatever they can from the situation. They're liquidating everything they own into cash. Manga Tune. By selling off their possessions like this, they're preparing to flee. If they do so without fighting, wouldn't the royal family be furious? Every knight in the kingdom has the duty to maintain all that belongs to the royal family, which naturally includes the land. Such actions, if known by the royal family, would definitely lead to the fee chopping block. But as long as it's not an active sale, it is permissible. Is there also a passive way to explain this? Although these nobles are selling all they have, it doesn't mean they will leave their domains immediately. They could very well up a symbolic resistance when the imperial armies attack, and then retreat. Putum at that point, it would become a passive abandonment of their domains, right? We'll take over their assets. Manga Tune. I believe at this moment they must be eager to sell, so the prices will definitely be low. Not to mention, their military supplies are exactly what we need. Yuka's main city in the domain of Count Genuda, just like Epford's Wolfie city in Shadok's Intigus, is also a frontline city. Manget. Count Genuda. Manga Uun. As of today, only about 1/10 to 1/5 of assets have been monetized. When the Imperial Army attacks, these invaluable assets that can't be taken with us will be destroyed. Since no one has approached me, I have no choice but to find a buyer myself. Knock, sir, Viscount Kate is here to visit. Manga Tune. Viscount Kate. The name doesn't ring a bell. Nonetheless, since he's requested a visit, did mention his purpose. No, but the Viscount is waiting. Count Genuda, it's a pleasure to meet you. Viscount Kate, may I ask what brings you here? I'm in a rush to liquidate my assets. I don't have time to waste on some unknown Viscount. It seems you're in the process of selling your assets. I think I'd have those spreading rumors beheaded. Don't be hasty in refusing. I came here to acquire some supplies from you. Military supplies. What? Take over what? And other things like food and horses, for example. Mongatoon. Prepare a banquet. I think we can discuss this over a meal. A count's wealth is immense, and considering various interests at play, Genuda and Kate talked for several hours before the banquet finally ended. Rest assured, all the items will be delivered to your estate in no more than half a month. Thank you for your trouble. I didn't expect things to go so smoothly. I hadn't even started looking for a target, yet the target came to me. I thought a Viscount wouldn't have much capital, but to my surprise, he bought most of my military supplies in one fell swoop. True, the price was driven extremely low, but it's much better to sell them than to let the Empire snatch them up. But sir, I always feel like there's something inconsistent. Something inconsistent. Since Viscount Kate knew you were liquidating assets, he must also be aware of the frontier battles. Yet, under such circumstances, he still purchased our assets. I found the name Kate familiar when I first heard it, and after our conversation, I remembered he was the man who made a big splash at Duke de Quire's banquet not long ago. A person like him must have shrewdness and wouldn't fail to consider this point. His actions must have his own intentions. It's just that we are not aware of them. But no matter what, the trade agreement has been signed and our goal has been achieved. Even if Kate gets a great deal out of it, it's none of our concern now. Order the men to start packing the supplies and strive to complete the transaction in the shortest possible time. It has been a week since we started acquiring the assets these nobles are selling off, and although we don't know how long de Quire can hold on, we have already stockpiled many assets. What's next? Do we go back, or do we continue looking for other nobles? Continue seeking other nobles. The military supplies we have bought so far should support an army of 5,000 for a month without any reinforcements. That's not enough. We can put off acquiring more arms for now, but we must continue to buy more provisions. Manga Tune. Before the troops move, provisions must be prepared. Our prolonged engagement with Dumbledore hinged on the significant geographical advantage of Mozo City itself. Before we're fully developed, we still need this advantage. In a defensive situation, supplies become critical. If, like, we find ourselves besieged and short of supplies, it could lead to our downfall without an enemy strike. Count Genuda. The neighbor of the Earl of Genuda, after leaving Yukaz and spending a day and a night traveling, Qin Tian and his party arrived at the Count city, but they encountered another unexpected person. Shadok. What is he doing here? It seems you all know each other and have come for the same purpose of acquisition. What a coincidence. Count Frango, you should know, this young man is Baron Kate, who has won the favor of Duke de Quire. Oh no, he should now be referred to as Viscount Kate. And this beautiful lady here is Lady Yilin. I presume you must be acquainted with her, Count Frango. Please forgive our sudden visit, but seeing that you have guests already, we'll take our leave now. That won't do at all. If I let you leave just like that, I would be a terribly rude host. If you don't mind, please stay with me, and allow me to fulfill my duties as your host. We really shouldn't disturb you. Alright then, I'll see you out. Who would have thought we'd run into Marquis Shadok? Such bad luck. Gosen, you should have taken that moment to thrust a sword into his back. Then we would have to leave that place horizontally. That's Count Genyat's territory. If a fight broke out, in order not to be branded with the disgrace of assassinating Marquis Shadok, he would certainly have to detain us. Furthermore, with the Marquis's 100-man cavalry and musketeers accompanying him. And considering we rushed out this time without any escort due to the urgency, any conflict would undoubtedly lead to a dead end. Why is Marquis Shadok purchasing Count Genyat's properties, I wonder? Perhaps like you, Kate, he's unwilling to give up his own city. He might be collecting resources to prepare for battle as much as possible. Yet, it's hard to tell that he's someone who dares to fight to the death. Being so close to Count Genyat's main city, one can't help worrying about Marquis Shadok following us all the way to our doorstep. To avoid another encounter with Marquis Shadok, I've also adjusted our procurement route to steer as clear as possible from Count Genyat's territories. Urun. Over the next few days, we kept traveling between the various nobles, but acquiring military supplies wasn't as smooth as before. The nobles we met had already sold their assets to Marquis Shadok well in advance. Based on the intelligence in our possession, I've calculated that there are 7 nobles who've sold their assets to Shadok, and that's only the number we know of. In reality, the number of nobles who have sold out to Shadok likely reaches double digits. No matter how we adjusted our route, whether by coincidence or if someone was tracking our steps. Morgan, we ran into Shadok again. With Ern Boone after signing the agreement with Earl. If you don't mind, I'd like to have a private word with Viscountess Kate and Lady Yilin. Want to talk privately? Then I won't disturb you. If you need anything in the meantime, please feel free to call me. Unexpectedly, we meet again. This must surely be the will of God. I wonder, Marquis Shadok, what do you wish to discuss with us? I just want to know your views on the frontline situation and why you're amassing a large stock of military supplies. And you, Marquis, what brings you here? I believe we share the same objective: launch a counteroffensive against the Imperial Army. Margatoon, the nobles of our kingdom are cowardly and incompetent. No doubt you have seen this in recent days. At the first sign of unfavorable battle conditions, their primary concern was preserving their wealth. They even prepared for retreat. They are utterly undeserving of the honor bestowed upon them by the king. Fortunately, not all nobles are like this. I suppose, the reason for your purchase of military supplies must certainly align with my own thinking. Natoon. I guess. Mang. So, we will take our leave now, Marquis. Take your time to think it over. Half a month later, with the development over this period, Mozo City's military equipment has been upgraded. All soldiers are now equipped with revolvers, and the number of catapults at each of the 4 city gates has increased from the initial 3 to 10. Combined with the power of nitroglycerin, even a force of 10,000 would not be able to breach Mozo City in the first wave of attack. But Mozo City still has its weaknesses, primarily the shortage of manpower. We can only rely on the city's defenses without sufficient forces to launch an offensive. The population relocation from Ebfort should be completed within these 2 days. Currently, including the reserve TED/2 army, we have recruited over 2,300 soldiers. To continue the recruitment. Get as many soldiers as we can. As for the costs, I will discuss them with Yi Lin later. Given our current military strength, we are unable to protect Mozo City and Ebfort at the same time. As a solution, we can only relocate the residents of Ebfort to Mozo City. This move will inevitably cause many problems, the most direct of which is a population explosion and overcrowded living areas. 2,000 soldiers are far from enough given the current situation. Qin Tian, I really don't know how to thank you. Of course, this help isn't for free. After this is all over, you will have to help me excavate the ruins, and the things found inside will belong to that's naturally not a problem. That group heading towards the royal city is Grain and his entourage. After the siege ended, Grain left Mozo City to request the royal family's intervention, and it seems they have finally returned. Grain did indeed successfully complete the mission. Unfortunately, due to the war, the royal family simply has no time to deal with these trivial matters. Manga Toon, however, this was expected. Now that Mozo City has begun to take shape, even without the royal family's mediation, we have nothing to fear from anyone. Still, the development of the war caught us off guard. 2 days before Clinton returned to Mozo City, Shadok mobilized his troops to assist the choir. But even with Shadok's support, they couldn't change the situation at the front. Not 3 days later, news arrived from the front that Shadok was defeated, and he, along with the choir, were both trapped in Wofford City. Moreover, the Empire's army was sustaining itself through warfare. And the military supplies brought by Shadok became their capital to continue marching north. After leaving a part of their forces to surround Wofford City, aiming to exhaust the choir's supplies for an easy victory, the rest of their forces kept pushing deeper into the kingdom. Nobles near the war zone mustered their troops to resist, but they only put up a symbolic towards the royal city with their pre-packed supplies. Fight before hurriedly fleeing Yiliang Toka. According to the advance route of the Imperial Army, they will reach Mozo City within 3 days. Lit Hills refers to the hill area closest to the front lines within the sacred West Kingdom. Nearby nobles, especially during their leisure, like to picnic here and enjoy this unique landscape. However, for some time now, this will no longer be possible for them, as this area will be on the Imperial Army's path of advance. The nobles in the vicinity, having received the news, quickly liquefied their assets. It's too bad for the residents of their fiefs. Leaving their homes and being cast into the wilderness, the commoners are turned into refugees. I absolutely cannot let this situation fall upon Mozo City. Darn, it started to snow. It's going to be even colder tonight. You're wrong, snow itself isn't cold. It's when it starts to melt that it feels cold. Snow, huh? Really annoying. When the Rada tribe first came to this world, they died in droves because they couldn't adapt to the winter. I wonder if the Imperial Army will continue to advance in this weather. They will, they most definitely will. For the Empire, time is of the essence right now. Time. I see. If possible, I'd like for you two to explain. With the Imperial Army advancing without having captured Wolfei City, their front line is extremely unstable. In such a situation, if the army pushes deep into our country, they risk having their retreat cut off, leaving them isolated and without support. Haven't they considered this? No, they're taking a calculated risk. A risk. What kind of risk? Due to the perennial warfare between the two nations, the forces of the Sacred West Kingdom were mostly gathered near the front lines, with domestic forces scattered across various fiefs. Now, with the kingdom's forces at their most depleted, this sudden incursion of imperial troops slices through like a blade. If they could strike the royal capital, they could decisively turn the tide. Of course, the royal city has already received news and has begun to prepare the army, but this takes time. So time becomes the objective for both sides to compete for. Whoever can achieve their goal in the shortest time will win this round. However, by the time we show up here, they've already lost. They still won, at least partially. Manga talk. What do you mean? Still, it's time. The news of the Empire moving north has already reached the royal city. Even if we successfully ambushed the Imperial army, since the transmission of messages is so slow, it will take quite some time for the royal family to receive the results from this side. Mongotoon during this time gap, before the royal army had adjusted its course based on the outcome of the battle whether to march south. Originally meant to defend the kingdom, and instead support Mozo City, or to choose another path. Such a lengthy period of inaction is enough to allow the Imperial army to seize Mozo City. Of course, this result isn't absolute. Perhaps Duke de Quire can hold out until reinforcements arrive. I'm curious, Gosen, what did you do before? Not just a wandering Ronin, that's all. I don't believe that a Ronin could have such keen insight into the movements of the Imperial army. If Gosen hadn't pointed out that the Empire had still kept a card up its sleeve at Mozo City, I wouldn't have suspected a thing. After all, everyone has their little secrets. Screech Mongotoon. The next morning, we erased all traces of our stay from the previous night and continued to monitor the fleeing troops. Everything was developing as planned. They will probably arrive here tomorrow morning. We didn't bring so many soldiers here just for leisure sightseeing. After receiving the news of Shadok's defeat, we started to prepare an ambush for the Imperial army. Securing Kate's territory is equivalent to securing the relic, which means securing our hope of returning home. Thankfully, having the douchebag around allows us to keep track of the Imperial army's position at all times and adjust our ambush. This gives us plenty of time to operate. At least we don't have to be on edge constantly. At 9 in the morning, after determining the Imperial army's location through the douchebag, we quickly moved into the predetermined ambush position. This time, we brought all musketeers. A ton. Based on previous intel, this Imperial force exceeds 10,000, including over 1,000 cavalry and knights, as well as several artillery units. But cold, hard numbers never quite match the shock of seeing it with your own eyes. The vanguard cavalry scouts first, followed by the majority of musketeers. Among them, several artillery units are interspersed. This extremely long column of thousands of troops, with only a few hundred entering the ambush circle so far, taking action rashly would be like startling the snake in the grass. Moreover, cavalry units that have entered the narrow pass have strong mobility and can't be inflicted with significant damage. Despite the Imperial army's large numbers, their alertness is not very high at the moment. This is due to issues with military discipline, and also, the battles in recent days have led to their increased arrogance. Previously, as the Imperial army advanced, they were unstoppable and the kingdom's army in front of them was easily crushed. On the battlefield, the most fatal flaws are underestimating the enemy and letting one's guard down. Right now, the Imperial army possesses both, which dooms them to pay a price for this. Bang! Bang bang bang! Up there! They are up there! Take cover! Musketeers retaliate! Prepare the catapults! Rumble! The power of this is, maybe, a little too strong. Don't fire. Hold your fire. We surrender. We surrender. 2 Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. My family can pay you a lot. A lot of ranso. My God. My God, save me. Let's go. Their morale has collapsed. Manga 2. This round of bombing. The effect has completely exceeded expectations. In such narrow terrain, the lethality is even greater than I imagined. From the first shot to the end of the battle, it only took a short 10 minutes. The Imperial army has already lost its fighting capacity completely, even the cavalry troop we thought might counterattack has fled. After dealing with the Imperial vanguard, we need to head towards Wolfie City, not to support de Quire, but to find a way to cut off the Imperial army's retreat. The victory in this battle is a very limited obstacle to the Empire. As long as the gap in their line remains, they can organize more troops at any time. Angatun. So our tactic is to infiltrate the Imperial army's base and find a way to deal with their supplies. The snowy weather in the sacred West Kingdom is frequent and prolonged. Ever since the snowfall during our last ambush, the blizzard has been on and off, lasting for several days. Under normal circumstances, and it would only take 2 days to ride from Lit Hills to City Wofi. However, in such weather conditions, not only does the snow slow us down, but the combination of wind and snow also causes rapid heat loss from the body. We need to stop and rest at intervals to recover, or else we risk getting frostbite. Hence, it took us a whole 5 days to finally get near City Wofi. Kate, notify everyone that we'll find a place to rest first. Now. City Wofi is surrounded by Imperial troops, and the Imperial camp is right ahead of us. Visibility is too low in this weather. Rash actions could likely lead to danger. That's right, as Gosen said, the visibility is indeed too low, but this not only affects us, it's the same for the Imperial army. Overall, this weather is not suitable for action. At most, there might be some small patrols, which we can carefully avoid. City Wofi is situated on a large plain. There are hardly any hills or ravines, let alone trees. It's extremely difficult to find suitable terrain to block the wind and snow. In the end, we had no choice but to pitch tents on the spot, keeping the cold wind and snow at bay. Thanks to the blizzard's interference, the smoke from the campfires goes undetected, enabling us to cook and live normally. In these cold conditions, the human body needs to consume a lot of energy to maintain its temperature, and meat is the best food for replenishing this energy without a doubt. It looks like this blizzard won't stop anytime soon. Are we advancing today? No need. This weather is not suitable for moving forward, but it's quite suitable for reconnaissance. You plan to take advantage of the blizzard to scout the enemy. Isn't this a great opportunity? We will go with you. This climate is not suitable for horseback riding, much less walking. The sleigh is the most flexible mode of transportation in the snow. Whoosh! Although we knew that Flambe City was surrounded by the Imperial army, it was only a rough idea. It wasn't until we saw it with our own eyes that we realized how tightly the city was besieged. Mangatok, the tens of thousands of Imperial troops are using a point-to-line strategy, setting up camps as nodes of the encirclement around City Wofi. Each camp supports the others, and if any position encounters a problem, the neighboring camps can provide support in the shortest possible time. Has the snow stopped? Get down. Fortunately, in this snowy weather, patrolling soldiers won't expect enemies to come. But based on the size of the camp ahead, the Imperial army stationed there must indeed be a force of over 60,000. Our previous surprise attack succeeded despite being outnumbered tenfold because of the geographical advantage and the element of surprise. If we were to face over 10,000 soldiers head-on, even with revolvers, we would stand no chance of victory. After all, those are real living people, not targets. They dodge, they maneuver, they aren't foolish enough to just march into cannon fire. Even an army of 10,000 would behave like this, let alone one exceeding 60,000. Step back. Without the blizzard to cover our tracks, once we returned to camp, we immediately led our troops to retreat several kilometers and relied on Douchebag to patrol from above. As long as Douchebag could pinpoint the location of the Imperial Army supplies, it would be a simple matter of using a few tubes to resolve the situation, without even mobilizing soldiers. But this time, I miscalculated. Even though Douchebag can scout the enemy's situation, it is, after all, just a bird, a highly intelligent bird capable of simple communication. Yet, complex communication and identification are too much for Douchebag. It can see the location of every Imperial soldier, but it can't discern who the officers are, nor understand the concept of military supplies. Manga, this meant that our hastily proposed decapitation strike fell through. And the original plan to cut off the Imperial Army supply line had to be shelved. Perhaps we could blend in. I think it's impossible for any soldier to remember every face in the entire army. You should understand that even though we are all citizens of Sacred West Kingdom, people from different places have different accents and habits. Anga tuned the soldier pretending to be injured. He's not acclimating well, so he doesn't want to interact with others. Doctor will check. Maybe this wounded soldier strategy isn't so bad. When returning from duty, they're sure to go to the rear to recuperate, and generally, that's where the army supplies are located. This has nothing to do with what I had in mind. Throughout every battle, I've never exerted any effort, let alone command. I haven't even